more often than not, Manchester United are taking a player off someone else to help them, win a league, win a Champions League. Very rarely does a player leave Manchester United for those reasons. But one of those was Carlos Tevez. I mean, what was your feeling around that move?
At the time, I felt let down a little bit. I voiced it at the time. I can't understand how anybody playing at Manchester United with Rooney and Ronaldo up front, which is probably as good as I've ever seen, by the way. I mean, Carlos Tevez was some player with Rooney and Ronaldo up front. That is as good as it gets. Tenacity, class, goals, skill, defending, attacking, link play, dribbling, everything. Everything you'd want to see in a football team and in a football player, them three had between them. I couldn't understand how he would want to engineer a move to the closest rivals. City were building a project at the time, but they weren't anywhere near where we were at United. We were playing in Champions League finals and winning them. I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it. It was the sort of this idea, the lack of loyalty, this lack of, you come to United, you sort of embed yourself in the team, you wed yourself to the club. You can't go and play for them. You can't go and play for them. If we still want you, you can't go and play for them.
Well, if you felt like that, how do you think the manager felt?
100%. But I also understand now, as I look back, you look at sort of the advice he had around him, the agents had around him. He was third-party owned. The money was a big part of it. And obviously he was going to get paid a lot more money over at City. And I get that in a way. I just felt at United, I always felt that there was a loyalty and a commitment to the club. And that's why, when Rooney has to, he put that there was a little bit of flirtation with City, and that's why I think he got a lot of stick at the time. It was seen as being sort of like, bad form. And obviously he didn't go in the end. But if he'd gone, it would have been a little bit like Sol Campbell. Rooney going to City would have been a little bit like Sol going to from Tottenham to Arsenal, which is probably the one that people talk about Cantona leads to Manchester United, but I think Sol from Tottenham to Arsenal was the one that I think has caused the most anger, hostility, probably in my time that I've seen. I don't think Carlos going to City caused the same anger and the same sort of feeling between the clubs, but it bugged us.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Rooney, that I think of Stevie in that situation almost going to Chelsea, and I just think you're going to lose all the love of what you've done. That sort of 5 or 6 years here you've done at a club, that's all going to be lost by going to this next one.
It's a short-term play. Yeah, I think it's players who do it are either doing it because they haven't got the love for the club in the first place, or they're not thinking long-term. And I think long-term thinking is really important. You've got a post-career that goes from 35 to 75, and I think your employability, your likeability, your legacy, if you like, in that 40 years is defined by the decisions you make and your commitment you make in that 10 years of your career, 15 years of your career. And if you make a decision during your career that is seen as disloyal, you'll be, I think, judged upon that in your post-career as well. I do genuinely think that. I think that's generally something that it pays you back sometimes, I think, further down the line.
I agree. I think with Stevie, obviously, people say he never won the Premier League, but I actually think if you actually stand back from that and look at that, I think probably the respect he gets around maybe world football for staying at Liverpool, because we weren't great at certain times when he was playing there. We had some really good sides getting to Champions League finals, but this thing of, you never won the league, and then I think, but certain other players have won the league, and I just think, would you rather have that sort of respect and a sort of loyalty for one club and how you thought of? And I agree with you about legacy. It
must be difficult. You win trophies, but you do lose something. You lose something. Your boyhood club, the one that you loved, the one that brought you through, the one that looked after you when it was your toughest, the one that gave you a chance. And when you got there, you just jumped. Do you know what I mean? That's the bit that's in your mind. That you do lose something with that, but you gain other things. You gain financially. You gain by winning trophies. You gain by experiences that you've had playing in the biggest matches. But I think there's definitely a loss with it as well. If someone was in that position as a player and thinking about making that move, would you encourage them to make that move even if you wouldn't do it yourself? Because you did speak to Steven Gerrard trying to get him to Old Trafford, didn't you? And Wayne Rooney. How long did those talks last? Shameless, absolutely, yeah. The only problem with other people doing it, coming to us, is going the other way. No, I completely get it why. I get it why if you weren't winning and you were at a club that didn't have the ability to give you the trophies. We've seen it in this summer, haven't we? Jack Grealish leaving Aston Villa, Harry Kane trying to leave Tottenham because he doesn't think he can give him the trophies. And he wants the trophies, he wants to play in the biggest match, he wants those medals round the neck. I get it. I completely get it. I understand it completely. I think if you've got medals round your neck and you're competing for trophies and you're getting paid, that's when I think I find it a little bit more difficult if it's one way. Sometimes players leave because it's, there's a breakdown in communication between the club and the manager, or it's just right for both. David Beckham left to go to Real Madrid, and felt absolutely the right thing to do. Cristiano Ronaldo left Manchester United to go to Real Madrid because he always wanted to. It was clear that that was something. It didn't feel as though there was the animosity with those two examples because it was almost like you knew it was probably going to happen. There's an acceptance from both sides. It's where the sort of club wants to keep you and the player is antagonising for a move or pushing for a move. That's where it becomes a bit difficult, I think. Figo went from Barcelona to Real Madrid. I mean, that was massive.
How would you go about that? And would the manager speak to you in terms of, like, he's a player we like, he's in the England squad, can you have a word with him? Is it, you know, you mentioned Rooney. I mean...
Will I get fined by the FA for this, for an illegal approach? Look, I think, to be fair...
Everyone does it, don't they? What I mean is...
I think it'd be something casual. It wouldn't be like, you know, go and poach him or anything like that. It'd be, you know, have a chat, see what his plans are, see... you know, where does he like to eat? What was he like... You know, it's that type of thing, have a conversation. And I think there was 2 or 3 times it happened with England with me where I spoke to Alan Shearer during Euro 96. You know, I had a conversation with him. But I was more junior at that time, so I couldn't have a serious conversation with him. Definitely with Wayne Rooney, I had a little chat, but just, again, he was a younger player, so you can't put too much pressure on. It's going to be, you know, with Steve, it was a full-on assault. Let's get him out of there. I want him out of there. To be fair, Stevie's answer was, he said, my family and me would never be able to go back to Liverpool ever again. It was a very short conversation. Yeah, he was very loyal Liverpool fans. Not as loyal, I think, when John Terry went round to his room, but... I think John Terry got about 10 minutes out of him. I got probably about 30 seconds.